Hey Covenant family, I'm Elisa Hillberry. Good to be with you guys for today's Covenant Daily. I wanted to talk about the issue in this season that has been most difficult for me and quite possibly for you as well, and that is isolation. We were made for community. It's down in our very bones, and because of the restrictions placed on us right now for our own health and safety and for that of those around us, we can't be in community. We can't gather together as we were made to do, and that is so very difficult. So I want to read for you pieces of an article that was written by one of my favorite college professors, Dr. Kelly Kapic, that was put on the Gospel Coalition's website this week. And I think he just hits the nail right on the head with what we're experiencing and with what the solution is, even though it's not necessarily the one that we want to hear. So he writes, what do we do when we cannot physically gather and enter into this unique space set apart by God, that being the church? In addition to highlighting the human need to belong, Junger captures another powerful human drive when he concludes, humans don't mind hardship. In fact, they thrive on it. What they mind is not feeling necessary. Modern society has perfected the art of making people not feel necessary. Many of us are feeling this in spades. We feel unnecessary, not needed, and disconnected. The one thing that was not good in Genesis 1 was human isolation. We were designed by the Creator for being in communion. Think about the very young and the very old in our lives. Are we communicating to them that they're needed or that they're merely vulnerable? God made us for community and interdependence. God created us for mutual neededness. Given the strange nature of this crisis, we're facing a second threat beyond sickness. We don't even have one another. We need to be needed, and yet the natural ways we might care for others and receive their company and care are currently impossible for us. Rules about shelter in place and social distancing tempt us to draw even more inward, to face this despair and hardship alone. But we must courageously resist this isolation, not by violating the government's sober instructions, but by learning afresh to cultivate communion with God and neighbor in this surreal season. We must fight hard for unity and equity and community. Let us call friends we love and miss. Let us write notes of encouragement and empathy to those who are suffering or alone. Let us join our hearts through concrete expressions of generosity to churches, individuals, and organizations that desperately need us right now. God promises that if we draw near to Him, He will draw near to us. Let us pray. Let us water plants. Let us take deep breaths and employ our voices to reach out with words of value and courage and empathy. Let us speak and listen for life-giving words of mutual belonging. May it be so. And this is hard because the solution for isolation that we really want is for it to be over, for it to disappear, for us to gather together again and put all of this behind us. And one day we'll be able to, but who knows when that day will be. And until then, we cannot let isolation destroy us, because it will. We have to fight back against it, and it really is a fight. We have to struggle to reach out to those around us, cultivate relationships, not just survive in this time, but to actually grow and flourish. And no one has a harder time with this than I have. That's why I'm talking about it, because I really need to hear it. We have to fight against this isolation. One of the things that has brought me a lot of joy in this last week and that has helped me feel connected to people is writing notes to my students. I love to do that, but it takes me a really long time to do so I don't normally take the time to do it. but I am doing it now, taking advantage of this time to reach out personally in a way that I normally don't have the ability to do. So I encourage you to be creative. Think about all of the ways in which you can try to cultivate relationships with those in your community and those around you. It may feel like all of our possibilities are restricted from us, but we have many tools at our disposal by God's grace, and I encourage you to use them to the best of your ability. I encourage myself to do the same, because we have to use this time well, and that is what will grow our relationships with each other and glorify God.